connecting Indigenous musicians and artists to the world. Welcome to Indigenous Superstars with your host, Rhonda Head.
Hello, everyone. I'm coming to you live from Opaskwayak Cree Nation in northern Manitoba. I'm in Big Eddy, Manitoba, the heart of OCN. So I'm really happy to be here today. It's really exciting. I'm on my 100th guest today, so I'm really excited to make that achievement for a podcast. Usually, they say when people start podcasts, they stop doing shows after 20 podcasts and then they lose interest. So here I am on the 100th show, not 20th. So we're streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube and Twitter. And then I'm also going to stream it again next week sometime. So if you missed the show, you can tune in again next week. I'm probably going to post it again on Monday. So I just want to say I got some really exciting news today. I was taking a break from my classes and I started checking my email. And then I got this email from the Global Music Awards stating that I won a Global Music Award for the pop category for a song that I just released called Falling's Not Goodbye. And Tim Crewley from down south, southern Manitoba, wrote it. He's from Little Saskatchewan. So he wrote the song, and Chris Burke Gaffney, who produced the song, and I've been working with him quite a bit lately. And the first song that we worked together also won a Global Music Award. So the Global Music Awards is a pretty special award for me because 75 countries around the world submit to be recognized to be recognized by the Global Music Award. And it's a really like people who won Grammy Awards and they're the ones that are doing the judges. So it's a really prestigious award, and I'm really proud that I won an award. And it's, for me, it's a crossover, because usually I sing classical and jazz, and I'm crossing over into pop. So this is my first pop song that I released, and I won an award. So I think it's one of the other paths that I'm following, which is right. So I'm really glad that I took a risk and decided to record a pop song. So that's my exciting news. Oh, Annie Corbett says, "Hi, Annie. Way to go, Ron." From Opaskwayak Cree Nation, and my sister Janet's tuning in. Congratulations, sister, on your Global Music Award. Thank you very much, and want to welcome everyone who's tuning in to the show tonight. And I have a really exciting guest. I've known him for many, many years, and we've become family on the Powhouse Trail. That's where I met him. He was the MC for me, and hold on here. Okay, here we go. Do we have sound? Can you hear me now? I just want to say hello to Delbert from New Mexico, and I want to get him back on the show. Yay, I got sound back. I want to get Delbert back on the show. He's doing so much fabulous things in New Mexico and in the jazz field. He's just like breaking trails. So I want to get him back on to catch up and to hear what he's doing next in New Mexico, and he's like becoming really well renowned in not only in North America and not only in the United States but globally. So I'm really excited to to bring him back on the show. So my next guest is Tommy Christian, and from champion dancer, politician, and powwow MC, Tommy Christian from Poplar, Montana, is going to share some of his experiences in Indian country. He's well respected in all these areas, and Tommy has remained grounded, humbled, and gained vast amounts of knowledge from teachings of the elders in his area. So please welcome Tommy Christian. Hey, how's it
Hey, Rhonda, I can't hear you. Your sound is all real slow.
Okay, the audience can hear me, so maybe it's your earbuds, I'm thinking. Is your internet good?
There's something wrong with your sound.
Okay, I think, can the audience hear me? And can you hear Tommy?
You sound it's real slow. And it's real, you sound like a ghost.
Because the audience said they can hear me. So I don't know if is it your internet or, let's see.
Oh, for some reason my sound is, maybe it's hey son.
Okay, maybe it's the earpods
Maybe
you
it's
have
my
on.
sound. I'll have Cal come and check this
Okay.
out.
So in the meantime,
Come here, son. Come here.
I've known Tommy for a long time through the Powhouse Trail. So we're just trying to get some sound. Hello, can you hear me? Nice dog.
Yeah. Janet is listening and she can hear it clearly. It's gotta be your head.
Okay, so we're trying to fix up the sound here. We did have we did have a sound check earlier, but I don't know why the sound is not working now.
Well, that is weird.
Yeah.
It might be the internet.
I don't know why.
Maybe leave and rejoin.
Let me leave and come back. Because
Okay.
there's something wrong with the sound, Rhonda.
Okay.
Wait, I'll come off and then I'll come back on. Go ahead.
Okay. So we lost Tommy for a while. He's gonna try and fix up his sound. They're having problems with the sound. Oh, and they said, I don't know what. Maybe it's on his end with the internet. So that's what's happening. Oh, here he's back.
There you go. Now I can hear you.
Okay, the audience said they could hear you too, and I could hear you, but I guess it's just you couldn't hear me.
Okay, I got you now. I'm
Okay,
back.
you can
We're
hear me
back
now?
Yeah, you were coming in all real garbled and it was real slow, but it was the internet, it was the connection. All right. Okay, now you can introduce me. I can hear you.
Okay. Well, the audience, I already introduced you to the audience, so we might as well just get into the questions.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So how are you doing?
I'm doing rather well, actually. I'm retired from politics, and I was enjoying my retirement, golfing and whatnot. And the college called me and asked me to come and help them out with some of their cultural activities, and so they hired me as a cultural liaison for the college itself. And so we do a podcast every Thursday for an hour. It's called Fort Peck Community College Podcast, Buffalo Chasers Podcast. It's on YouTube, and we've done it for like 60 weeks now, and we just kind of talk about cultural stuff and whatnot, and developing what they call a kolakchia, society of buffalo chasers, eh?
Oh,
And so
nice.
we're just trying to, and it doesn't matter what, if you're Indian, white, whatever the case may be. If you are a member of the Fort Peck Community College, you become a buffalo chaser, and you're naturally just brought into that society. And so there's certain sort of behaviors that are expected of you by identifying with the buffalo chasers, and we're just kind of helping them understand the importance of kind of developing the character to represent the buffalo chasers in a good way, from a community perspective. So yeah. But
Oh,
other than that,
wow.
I'm still
That's
announcing powwows whenever I get a chance. I did a couple of last summer, but that was about it. And then I'm going to do one in Missoula, one in Bozeman, these college powwows, and then one in Easton when they have theirs. And of course, I'll do Manitowoc coming up here in May. I'll do that
Oh man, Janet
one.
will be
So
there.
just kind of taking it easy.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's
Do
going
you
to be
remember? Do you
interesting.
remember the last time we were at Manitowoc?
Yeah, when you wore that regalia,
Yeah, and I
you
had a
put that on for the
special.
first time in a long time. Yeah. Turned out dandy.
And
Yeah.
then the wrong song came on when I wanted to sing for the dance singers.
Yeah. But it all works, eh?
Yeah, it went out
Kind of
really
works
good.
runs like that. Well, of course. Yeah. Everything went
Yeah.
well. And what about you? How you been? I understand you won an award. You got some. I seen that medal up there on your page when we started
Yeah,
out. What
I
was that all
won
about?
a global music award, and those awards they open it up to musicians from all over the world, and they've
Yeah.
have 75 countries participate. Oh, I like your doggy.
That's my baby.
And I just recently released a song called "Falling's Not Goodbye" that was written by Tim Crewley and
Yeah.
produced by Chris Burt Gaffney, and it was a song I took a risk on. And I usually sing classical music and jazz
Yeah.
music, and
Yeah.
this song was a pop song, so I tried it out, took a risk, and submitted it to the Global Music Awards, and I won a bronze medal for it, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Right on. Right on. Say, I
Yeah.
know her. She's
So
famous. I know her.
so it's my ninth award now that I won, so
Oh,
they're
cool.
starting to climb.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been in the studio. Still recording some more music, so we'll be releasing those in the coming months.
Oh, right
Yeah,
on.
so
Well, keeping you busy
yeah,
anyway, eh?
keeping me very busy. So I know you're a well-renowned powwow MC, and I wanted to know what made you decide, or how did you get into emceeing at Powhouse?
Well, that's kind of interesting because let me see. Back in 2000, I was uh, dancing, and then I won the world championship in '96. After I went to and won the world championship, that's the epitome of traditional dancing for me. And so after that, I went back to work for law enforcement services here on our res, eh? And but I continued to dance every once in a while because I didn't totally give it up. But I dance here, there, and everywhere. But I kind of start declining because of my responsibilities for my job. Oh man, it was hard to go back to work. I'd work 80 hours, and then I opened up my check and I'd look and I'd say, "Oh man, I used to make this in 3 songs." But anyway, the money was the money was there, and consistently anyway. So I was getting a paycheck, and of course I was trying to instill ethic in my kids too, because all they knew was powwow, and dad was always gone, and they'd always get money. That's the way I paid my bills and stuff. But uh, I kind of slowed down, and then in 2000, I lost my son, and so I kind of stepped away from powwow. I give it up for a whole year and give away all my regalia and stuff, and then people wanted me to stay involved in powwow, and all through this time, through that time I was involved in powwow, they'd have me announce periodically in my regalia. They'd have me say some things, especially some old people from here, my own reserve. They'd have me announce, and I'd wonder, well, why are they doing that? And a lot of the older folks, so the elders would kind of tell me stuff and say this, do that, this is how you do that. And I was wondering, well, why are they telling me this? And then after I come back from that year of mourning for my son, I got more into the announcing aspect of powwow, and then just kind of co-facilitating that celebration of life, and start learning all these things, you know. And I actually had I guess an opportunity, not I guess, but I know I did have an opportunity to learn from some of the best, like Mike Hotai, you know, Russell Standing Rock, Kenny Ryan, Bob Fourstar, some of the locals here that were, you know, Wallace Coffee is another one that I learned from. A lot of announcers kind of took me under their wing, and they helped me to understand the importance of facilitating those gatherings. And so, again, it was something that I just kind of evolved into after I kind of calmed down from dancing. But after my son passed away and I stepped back, well, I quit dancing totally. I just gave it up. And here, in addition to my powwow announcing, people would see me at powwows and they wanted me to dance. And I said, I got no regalia because I give all my whole regalia away. I give everything away after that 1 year of mourning, and I give everything away. And here, people said, well, here, we're going to give you this. You do this, you wear this, you do that. Here, you have this. We want to see you dance again. And so I come out again with a full regalia, and everything that I had on was given to me, eh? From my bustle to my roach to my beadwork, everything I had was given back to me. So I got out there and danced. And so I continued to dance again, but not really competitively, just more along for a kind of for a healthy reason, because I don't do drugs or I don't drink, so and I all stayed in shape, and so I got back into power that along with my announcing, and so I just kind of stayed involved, kind of like that, and then I had all these mentors bringing me along with the announcing aspect and helped me understand the importance of being responsible to the people, conveying to them some of the stuff that the committee wants to share, and just being responsible like that. Throw a joke in there or two, but I kind of come at it more from a cultural perspective than anything else, kind of maintaining that dignity and honor of who we are as a people to maintain the integrity of our way of life, eh? And so I just kind of did that. And then, of course, in 2000, I was elected as one of the tribal leaders here on the Fort Peck Assiniboine Sioux Reservation. And so I did that for 16 years, along with my dancing and with the powwow announcing and then the tribal leadership. And I'm also considered one of the tribal spiritual leaders here as well. And so I had a pretty full plate, but at the same time, I really enjoyed my way of life because through that mourning process, it kept me busy, eh? And I didn't really afford myself an opportunity to mourn like most people would, eh? I kind of, the people helped me overcome that grieving that I was feeling just by encouraging me to continue to be out there and help out. And so that's kind of how I did that.
Oh,
And
that's
that's how I got
awesome.
into emceeing
Hmm.
more than anything. Yeah, yeah. So,
That's great. I'm sorry to hear about your son too passing.
oh, that was in 2000,
Yeah.
eh? That's 20 some years ago. But it's still the same. The feeling is still the same
Hmm.
today. But that's the way I deal with it,
Yeah. So you said you stopped dancing at the top of your game. That was what powwow was your last powwow
Yeah,
that you danced?
that was in Skimitzen in
Oh,
Connecticut
okay.
when I won the world championship, over there. And once I acquired that title, well, the week before, I won Bismarck also. And then the following week, I won the world championship. Well, to me, as a Northern Plains dancer, Bismarck was kind of our world championship, eh? And so I won that, and then the next week I won Connecticut, and so that just helped me understand I achieved what I wanted to in traditional dancing, And so that's when I went back to work for law enforcement services. Yeah. So, yeah.
So how did you get to that level of dancing?
Well, I used to work for the Bureau of Indian Affairs, as a social worker, and I was trained in all these things. They had me on this fast track to become a administrator in the BIA, and it's kind of interesting because when they first come and ask me to come and work for the BIA as a social worker, they come and knocked on my door and asked me to come and help them. And I didn't know what to do, so I'm a past member of AIM, and so the BIA was the enemy, and so when they come and ask me to go and work for them in Indian child welfare, I had to go and ask my dad, who was living in Fort Belknap, and so I went and seen him, and he said, "Well, let's take a trip." And so we jumped in his pickup and we went north, and we made about 5 or 6 stops. We stopped way up in where was it, Red Pheasant. Spoke with a guy by the name of Lawrence Meachance and talked to old what's his name out in North Battleford. We talked to him, and then we went over to Standing Buffalo, had a sweat over there. We sweat each time we stopped, and we went over to White Bear, and we stopped over there. And each time that we stopped, they asked, I asked these old folks, I said, they want me to work for the Bureau of Indian Affairs, but I consider that my enemy. What should I do? And none of these old elders that we traveled to go visit, because I was having such a dilemma in my life in respects to that, they said, well, maybe now they want to know what real Indians need or want. And so maybe you should go to work for them. And so I said, okay. So I went to work for them. That was in like 1985 or 86 or something like that. And so I worked for them after I made this trek around here, and I come back and I talked to the superintendent, and I said, yeah, I'll come to work for you. So they put me to work, and I come in there as an aide, and then they had me on this fast track because they wanted me to someday be a superintendent of in the bureau, So they kept promoting me, all these little grades all the time, and just promoting me and promoting me. And I said, wow, it's because of the culture, because I understood our value system, and I was being taught. And all these old folks were helping me understand how to convey to them what we needed as a First Nations people. And so that's what I did. And so they started incorporating all these cultural identifiable ceremonies, if you will, into the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And so I did that, and kind of like a cultural liaison even then, although I worked in Indian child welfare. And then the superintendent asked me to develop a little dance troupe, in which I did, for identified young children that were having problems in schools that I worked with, and that was on my caseload under Indian child welfare. And so I established that, and then we travel around to different schools and help them understand, because my forte was dance, was powwow dancing, and so I traveled around and with them, and they would put on their little show. We did it to tapes. We didn't have no singing group, so we did it to tapes. But all the kids, all the non-Indian kids, really enjoyed that because they seen their little buddies participating, and then I'd explain the regalia and the style of dance and all that. Oh, they just ate it up, And so that was really good. And I did that for 5 years, and I had all these certifications, all this training under my belt, and because they wanted me to become the head of social services, and then at some point become a superintendent. But at the end of 5 years, I had to walk away, and people thought I was foolish because they said, well, Tommy, this is your career. I said, no, it's not my career. I said, I can no longer be a part of a system that continues to victimize the victims based on policy, And zoom, it went right over the top of their heads, and they didn't get it. They didn't understand the principles in which I live by, because in my involvement with the Bureau, I recognized how regulatory authority was utilized to control what were referred to as wards of the government, and then again, that forced assimilation through their process, through these educational institutions, which they called schools. They really tried to make our young Indian children conform to their rules and their regulations, their policies, and I could see where it was breaking the spirit of our young people. And the Bureau was a part of that, as well as our court system, because I had to deal with these kids in court, and I had to make a report and kind of, how would you say, advocate for them, on behalf of the parent, as I was the social worker there. And so, and a lot of times they didn't understand that as an advocate, we needed encouragement. We needed to develop a process to where we could come back to our family unity, our family, understand the importance of our family dynamics. And that was the biggest problem, was this forced assimilation broke up our families. Residential school is a prime example, It just broke the family up. We didn't know what a structured family should have been, or something like that. And so I tried to promote that within our people. And finally, I just had to walk away. And I told them I can no longer be a part of a system that continues to victimize the victim. And they said, well, what you going to do? And that was like in 1988 or 89. I said, I'm going to go powwow. Because I felt at that time I could be more effective in dealing with antisocial behaviorisms and helping our young people develop their character to become strong enough to be positive forces in their community through our traditional way of life, And so that's what I did. Well, as a result of that, I got away from the Bureau, and then I went and powwowed for a while and made some money at it, didn't make very much, and so I had to go back to work. So I went back to work for law enforcement services and went to Artesia, New Mexico, got certified, all this good stuff. And then I became a juvenile cop, a juvenile officer, and I worked in the schools again with children. And as a result of that, working with the children in the schools, I was an advocate for these young people, dealing with a lot of discriminatory activities within the school system, within that public educational system that really, oh man, they weren't very good to our kids. And so I'd advocate for them. And then the old people, the elders in our community, saw what I was doing. And so some old people come to my house one night in 1999, and they said, Tommy, you need to sign up for tribal council. I said, sure. I said, I don't do that. I said, because I'm just here doing what I can for the people that can't defend themselves. No, you need to do that. And so I said, well, if I do, I'm not going to politic because I don't know how. I said, if that was up to me, I'd go around, be shaking babies and kissing hands. But this group of old people, they were very serious. They were so serious, they brought a pipe, and they know I wouldn't refuse it. And so we sat all evening, we discussed this whole thing, and so finally, before they left, I accepted the pipe. And I said, but I'm not going to pay for my entry fee. You guys are going to have to do. And so they did. They took it all upon themselves, and then they did all the politicking. All I did was sign my name, and I got on the council at that time. And for 16 years, I never did politics, and because all these old people did it for me. But towards like the 15th year, I noticed that I was losing a lot of support, because a lot of the old people that understood what I was doing on behalf of our Indian people, they died. They passed away. So my support passed away because they were all old folks, And so then I just decided, well, I guess I'll retire and do something else. And that's when I chose to retire. As a result, I figured 16 years was good enough for me in that representation, because I couldn't really affect a change in society itself as it relates to Indian people, And I couldn't affect that change that was needed because people were all into like decolonization. And for me, I couldn't really grasp that concept because, again, I wanted to stay positive, because our cultural way of life is total inclusiveness, of all things, wamakashka. They're all included in that. And for me to pit one against the other, the Indians against the whites, is not our way naturally. And so I had to think of something else and to refer to that as. And so I respected Kenny Goodwill and what he wanted to create and develop in Saskatoon. And Kenny was Dr. Goodwill, actually. He had a doctorate in, I think, educational administration, and he had a vision, now, for lack of a better word, on cultural responsiveness. He wanted to involve this character development that we use through our culture, through our natural law, into the school systems and support our kids like that. And so that's what Donnie Speidel is doing now, and that's been going on for years and years. But that's what I wanted to while I sat on the council, and they didn't get it. They weren't grasping that whole principle or the importance of character development amongst our kids through the natural law, because we were caught up in this dogma from this doctrine that wasn't ours, that they hung on to, that we were forced to assimilate to. And I'm talking about Christianity, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't talk against it, but because that must be good for some of them, but it wasn't good for me, you see. And so again, I couldn't accept decolonization as a way to address some of this alleged reconciliation. I don't even appreciate reconciliation, because that really implies that we did something wrong too, and we didn't. Does that make sense, Rhonda?
Totally, I totally get it. Yeah.
When they call it reconciliation,
yeah,
I don't
because
have
why
to
do we have to
Yeah.
reconcile when we didn't do anything?
Yes, and that's what I was thinking. I'm saying I can't even accept reconciliation utilizing that word, because the inference is that we did something wrong, and we didn't do nothing wrong. It was them. And so from that, one of my nieces told me a word. She said, "Uncle, maybe a good word to use is cultural ineptness." I said, "Hey, I can deal with that." And then, of course, I use that cultural ineptness to really help them understand that it's not so much they're just totally discriminatory against us, or decolonization isn't something, because, when you talk about decolonization, that's kind of a little bit too much, because I'm not trying to go back to wagon and lanterns and teepees days. I enjoy my new car. I enjoy my home and all that good stuff, So, but what I'm saying is, based on that, their inability to be culturally, aware that cultural ineptness was coming to show more than their understanding of cultural responsiveness. And so I wanted them to be more understanding of our culture. And so we looked their way, we learned their language, went to their church, we believed what they said, and it wasn't necessarily true, or didn't really apply to us. So from that, I addressed, they're culturally inept. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. They're culturally inept, and at the same time, I want to promote this cultural responsive sort of a perspective in regards to dealing with what some call decolonization, and that's fine for them that want to address those issues like that. And again, but at the same time, for the sake of inclusiveness, because we're not here to judge or criticize, and I was not there to criticize other people's beliefs, but to try to understand it, And so that's what I wanted to gain. And through this process of sharing, like we do on our podcast every week, we're not telling anybody how to be an Indian, but what we're doing is we're sharing our value system with anybody and everybody that becomes a part of these buffalo chasers as a result of signing up and enrolling into our community college. And then that puts it in perspective, because then it's not a national thing or a worldly thing, it's a community perspective, And so we're taking off enough just so that what we can handle and deal with that cultural ineptness by providing them an opportunity to be culturally responsive under this auspice of natural law, And so from that, I coined a phrase, what did I say? Oh man, I forgot that little statement. But we need to be able to help our students, especially in the community college, understand the importance of critical thought. Okay, so that's what we're promoting, and helping them understand the importance of being intuitive and taking the initiative to step up and afford yourself the right of your own integrity as you see the center, whatever that center consists of, and understanding that instead of looking this way and blaming people, look inwardly and accept that responsibility of being a human being, not an Indian, but a human being, eh? And in that, what we do is, as Dakota and Lakota and Nakota people, we're your friends, we're your allies. We'll help you in times of need, and we wanted to promote that, and that's what we're calling cultural responsiveness. And so, based on the uniqueness and the differences that are exercised through our cultural value system under natural law, we'd wish for that to become an enhancement and enrichment for the sake of the growth of our children, and all children, not just Indian children, you see. And so that diversity and that uniqueness that is represented under natural law can and should become an enhancement and enrichment for the sake of the growth of our children, which is representative of our future. So we took that on, and as the cultural liaison at the Fort Pitt Community College, I took it up under my belt to kind of help people understand that a lot of the behaviorisms under what non-Indian people look at us as, like we're noble savages, if you kind of know what that means. It's like we're just lazy, no account, beat our wives and abuse our kids and just drunk all the time. That's a noble savage in their eyes, eh? Well, I would like to take it upon myself to be that first grain of sand that falls and start a new what I'm calling an ideological paradigm shift as it relates to what it is that how we live, how we think, how we do things, and that really promotes abstract learning along with linear teaching, eh? The reading, writing, and arithmetic is fine, but you also have to understand the importance of experiential teaching. Does that make sense, Rhonda?
Yep, totally. I'm
Can
totally getting it. Thank you
you
for
see?
sharing all this
Yeah,
information.
and you see a lot of people just take it for granted, like they think they know. They don't. I'm sorry, but that's that cultural ineptness. Even our own British people don't understand that. They don't understand there's options that are available to them as it relates to seeking guidance in a spiritual way from whatever your higher power is, eh? And that spiritual energy that we call Wankatanka is something that people need to start redefining. It's not necessarily God per se, right?
Right. That's right.
It's an energy, a spiritual energy, right? And then that provides us with that guidance and direction. And again, as First Nations people, through our ceremonial process, we maintain that connection with our spirit world, eh? And if I was talking with a young lady the other day about this very thing. She said, I hear things. I said, well, what are these things saying? And then she would share them with me. And I said, well, are you sleeping? Are you awake? Well, it's usually when I kind of doze off. I said, well, hey, there you go. That's your spiritual connection. Whereas the non-Indian people would consider that, what do they call it when you hear voices?
Crazy.
Uh,
Crazy.
schizophrenia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what they would call it.
Yeah.
So I had to.
Oh, so go ahead.
Had to reassure that's our reality. Don't tell that to people that don't
That's what
understand
I
what you're
totally
saying,
agree with that.
because they won't believe you.
Yeah, I think that there's levels of spirituality, right? And we're high. We're high on the scale of the spirituality. Because I see spirits, that's my gift that I got. Yeah,
on.
and I share that, and if people don't believe me, I really don't care because I know I have my spirituality level is high, and if they
And you
don't
see,
believe me, it's okay.
yeah, and you see, Rhonda, the thing of it is, that's why I don't wish to attack decolonization, because again, why can't we utilize all of these better qualities of being colonized to our benefit? You see, along with our cultural responsiveness and colonized attitude. Because look how many people are colonized and getting along quite well, I might add. And you see, so it's kind of ignorant for us to approach matters like, and again, this is my personal opinion. I have the luxury, because I'm retired actually, of taking a position like that. I don't have to chase that dollar to pay my bills enough, because I get enough retirement to take care of myself. But so I have the luxury of speaking like this. But I would never wish that on young people that are trying to get caught up in the world and make some money for themselves, by whatever means. But the thing that I really want to help them understand is through this development of character, uh, compassion, empathy, caring, sharing, generosity, loving, all that good stuff, is they strengthen themselves, not forget where they came from, so they can represent themselves, their family, their tribe, their community in a dignified, honorable way to sustain the integrity of who we are as a people. Give me a hallelujah, girl. I'm preaching here.
Yay! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. High five. That's so awesome, and that's a really great perspective, and I totally get what you're saying, and
Right on.
thank you so much for sharing your words. They were very enlightening for me. Like I knew it, and I already knew it inside me, and you're just like
Yeah.
naming it. That's great.
And just the coolest thing is, look how many of our people are just like us, but they don't have an avenue to address it or even talk about it, eh? Because
Hmm.
again, they'll be judged by a standard that is totally alien to us, that doesn't even apply to us.
Yes, that's
And
right.
so now check this out, my girl. What we're trying to do now, there's a TV personality down here that he goes by the name of Dr. Drew. He's kind of on TV a lot and whatnot. He gave me a call the other day, and we did a FaceTime thing, and he wants me to help him come to the reservation and develop a management plan, a therapeutic plan, to where we can help just reservation Indians, because because he worked in addictions for 37 years. That's why his name's Dr. Drew. But he wants to develop a plan to address that recidivism that our people, our Indian people, have, even though they go through treatment and all that, and go through detoxification and whatnot, and then they end up right back on the street. Well, he wants to develop a plan to where we can go in as a group under group therapy and identify some of these issues that are holding us back, eh? Because today's contemporary society will not acknowledge some of this cultural value system. I've been sober for 40 years. Nobody has come and asked me, Tommy, how did you do it? And how I did it was based on ceremony. The strengthening from the inside out, eh? That's it. Indian people heal from the inside out. Non-Indian people heal from the outside in. That's the difference. That's the diversity that exists there. It's not wrong, because evidently it's good for them, but for us, it's indifferent because we heal from the inside out and from a spiritual perspective. And nobody would ever acknowledge that, because they were so caught up on the contracts they give out, the grants that they receive money for, living up, trying to aspire to their deliverables or their objectives in the contract, so that they could have allowable costs in the money that they got from the federal government. And so in that process, that was really detrimental to us as a people, because nobody was really quantifying the positive things that could be happening. Well, that's why I stepped away from the BIA, I said I can no longer be part of a department that continues to victimize the victim. Well, the same thing applies with these treatment processes that they've been implemented under a non-Indian standard. So now I would let, and I got one of my daughters is pursuing her psychology degree. She's going to get her master's in the spring, and then she's going to pursue a doctorate. Well, she's got the same thing because what she wants to develop is the similar plan under the auspice of Dr. Drew and all this under the tutelage of Dr. Drew, and so that with his experience she can help him to develop a plan, a therapeutic process that will help our Indian people. And because they for so long all they did was address the symptoms, the alcohol and the drug addiction, but they never ever went to the real problem. And the real problem is the trauma, historical and cultural trauma that we've experienced. And addiction cannot be transferred to the next generation, but trauma can. Trauma can be transferred onto the next generation. That's why they call it historical trauma and cultural trauma. And people will not accept that, and because they're so worried about allowable costs per se. And when I was on the council, I tried to help these programs to, hey, why don't you write in your budget these tarps and maybe a pick and a crowbar, some pots and some willows and some wood and some rocks. And well, Tommy, those aren't allowable costs. I said, those are all representative of a sweat lodge, which for me is very therapeutic. I said, but yet how many people do I know that live a healthy lifestyle and have worked alcohol and drugs through that process, but nobody will acknowledge it. And so in that noble savage thing comes into play, and we're heathens and we're pagans if we don't believe like them. Well, that standard has to go by the way. That's good for them, but it's not necessarily good for me. And I'm not talking against it. What I'm saying is, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, wishing for a different outcome. And that's what has been happening to us until, of course, from a community perspective, we take it into our own control. Does that make sense?
Yep, totally.
Yes, and that's all a part of, in that abstract learning, that's all a part of incorporating the importance of land-based teaching. Is that cool or what?
Yeah, Janet said everything that what you're talking about. She said intergenerational trauma is what we carry and we heal from that, complex trauma and land-based teaching. So that's really awesome. Yeah. So I have something to ask you that's a little bit off topic of a really awesome some conversation. I noticed a photo, a portrait in the background. Is it this one here or similar to that one? Is that the same artist that did this?
Yeah,
this
it's the same artist. One of my Hunka brothers. His name is Harry Kuyama. He's a Japanese guy. You want me to tell you the story behind?
Sure, yes, please do. Could I leave the picture up, or do you want to be?
No, leave it up. Leave it up.
Okay.
Okay. One of my daughters is enrolled in Crow, and she was doing the Crows do things different. They hang on to their culture, and it's beautiful. And she was getting initiated into the Crow tribe style of dance. They were bringing her into the circle, So me and my family up here, my brothers and sisters, her uncles and aunts, we all got all this stuff together because in Crow it's a big thing, and we went to Crow Fair, and we're going to initiate my daughter and get her in there in a good way, and that all happened, and she was just like 8 or 9 years old at that time. And so I went to Crow Fair, and I was still dancing. And so I danced at Crow Fair, and oh man, I just enjoyed myself and just having a good time. And of course, everybody knows me, So when I go dance, I go visit and chum around with the guys, and we tell jokes and stuff like that. Well, there was this Japanese gentleman there. He's originally from Hardin. He's a farmer, and he comes up to me. It was Saturday afternoon, and he says, "What's your name?" And I said, "I'm Tommy Christian." He said, "Oh, okay." He said, "Hey, can I take pictures of you?" I said, "If you want to." I said, "Yeah, for no problem." Oh, he said, he said, "I used to be an artist." He said, "But I see you, and there's something about you." He said, I wanna take pictures of you dancing in motion, and I wanna take pictures of you standing there and all that good stuff." He said, uh, "But I'm thinking about getting back into painting." I said, "Hey, no problem, man. Whatever works for you. That's cool. That's good." But anyway, he took these pictures of me, and uh, I was on the council then. Well, we did that good thing for initiated my daughter and all that good thing. Of course, I competed in a contest, and I came home. And anyway, I give him my information, and he kept in touch with me. And then his wife called me one time, and she said, "Tommy, are you ever in the Hardin area?" I said, "Yeah, I'm down in Billings all the time." She said, "Well, we set up a studio in Hardin. If you could come and visit us, we'd really appreciate it." And I said, "Oh, okay, I'll do that." So one time I was the chairman of Law and Justice, and so I had to go to a meeting down in Billings, and so I had a free afternoon. So I shot down to Hardin, and I found this address where his studio was, and I walked in, and his wife seen me, and she said, "Oh, Tommy, you're here, you're here. Look around, come here, look." And she showed me all of these pictures like this one of
Mm-hmm.
me all over in the studio. I'm saying, "What the heck is going on here, man?" Then my head starts swelling up. Yeah, I thought I was somebody. But now that's not the end of the story. And so Harry's in the back room in the studio, and he's painting another picture of me. And he comes out and he says, "Oh man, Tommy, you're here." He said, "Oh, I'm so glad to see you." And he was talking, and then his wife tells me, he's standing there, and his wife says, "You know, Tommy, Harry hasn't painted for 15 or 20 years, eh? And he was good at it." Well, you can see how good he is at it. And he
Yeah.
quit painting. She said, "But when he saw you, something brought that back. And look at what he's done since we've seen you the last time. Look at all the things he's done." And she said, he got diagnosed with cancer, eh? And
Mm-hmm.
they didn't know what was going to happen or anything like that. And she said, when he saw me, there was something that he saw in me. He wanted to paint again. And through that process, he started painting again. So she said, "I just wanted to thank you, Tommy. That's why I wanted you to come here. I wanted to thank you for giving a purpose back to my husband, and so that he could enjoy himself again." And then through that painting, he felt the therapy, and he's still alive today. I forgot how long ago this was, but he's overcome his cancer, and he's still painting. He even got into bronze. He made me a great big bronze head of me, and
Nice.
he gave it to me. And I said, "Oh man!" But he had all these paintings all over. You can go to his website, Harry Kuyama, on Google him, and these things will show up. And I'm saying, "Oh man!" And so, of course, uh, in our Indian way, what I did was I got him a beaded medallion, and I give it to him, and I said, "Here, this is for you. I'm going to adopt you as my brother, and so now you're my brother." After he'd done all this, and this painting's one, and I got a original that I have in my office that he'd done of me when I'm dancing. And, he gave me a great big buffalo head, and then he gave me that sculpture of that bronze head of me, and but it just he was so happy that he overcame that illness, eh? And that cancer. I guess it scared him, but that
Yeah,
that's that's just one of the that's how that all came about. All of these pictures,
that's a great
and
story.
you
Thank
can
you for
see them
sharing
all
that.
over because of him, eh? We went
Yeah.
to a uh, we went to Ronald McDonald House donation thing, and he had me come down to Billings and be with him because he was donating a picture of me to the project itself, to where they pay for a room at the Ronald McDonald House for the cancer victims that go to the hospital. They take care of them while they're there. Well, that picture, that big old picture of me in my regalia, went on the auction block and it sold for $7,000.
Oh, right on. That's excellent. That's
And then they just donated it all. And then the guy that bought it, he found us. He come and seen Harry, and the Harry says, "And this is my brother. He's the one who posed for it. Are you the guy?" I said, "Yeah. I want you to sign this too." And I looked at Harry and I said, "Should I sign it?" He said, "Yeah, sign it." So I signed my name on that big old. But it's stuff like that. And again, all of that money went towards the Ronald McDonald House to help out those people that had their relatives in the hospital. They kind of cut the cost on taking care of them while they stayed in Billings, because a lot of them are from out of town. So yeah, it's kind of like that.
That's an awesome story. A Facebook user said my cell died, was into his life story, but got off, but now I'm back again. I'll be streaming the show again next week, but you could also join my Facebook. I mean my YouTube channel, and it'll be on there as well. So if you want to go back and watch it, you can. So we're coming close to the end of the show, and I just wanted to know if you have any final thoughts.
One of the things is it's important that we understand the impact or the influence of decolonization, the importance of that. So like I got my nephew Chris Scribe and various others addressing those issues, and don't look down upon them because they use that word, because that applies to them and what they're trying to do. Me, I just choose another word because of that inclusiveness of our culture and value system. So we need to get out there, recognize the problems that we're having, and we need to address the addiction issues of drugs and alcohol as well. But understand where it precipitates from. It comes from historical and cultural trauma. That's what we need to address from a mental health perspective, eh? And so a lot of times, that's what I'm saying. They dealt with us. They patronized us by just dealing with sending us to detox in 30 days, and that's like this. And then we get out. They send us right, but to the same back into the same environment. So what do they expect us to do? That's where the recidivism comes from. But if we need to start establishing a little bit more healthier places for them to return to, eh? And that's hopefully will be the outcome of some of our young people that maybe get caught up in that based on immature decisions, but start identifying with their value system as it relates to Indigenous people and how we live, maintaining the dignity and the honor for the sake of the integrity of who we are as a people, and applying that and coming back and helping our people to live healthy again, eh? Our diet and our thought, because we think different, we act different, behave different, and that doesn't necessarily mean we're wrong. They just need to address that diversity that exists out there and understand the uniqueness through our culture and our language and our protocol represent natural law to let that become an enhancement and enrichment for the sake of the growth of our children, which represent our future. That's what I have to say.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much. Janet said, thank you for sharing. A Facebook user said, well said, Tommy. So thank you so much for being my 100th guest. The viewers that tuned in or were hanging on to your every word with the stories that you shared with us. And I'm so proud to know you as my brother, and I can't wait to see you at Manitowoc. So stay safe and travel safe, because we'll be there to visit for sure.
Always a pleasure, Rhonda and Janet. It's always good to see you ladies.
So, Augusta, see you next week on Indigenous Superstars.
Tune in again next time when Rhonda interviews another up-and-coming Indigenous superstar. Only on Indigenous Superstar.